Today's recipe calls for asparagus. We're going to make baked asparagus fries. These are crunchy, healthy, and delicious. We're going to pair it with a nice dipping sauce, which really isn't all that healthy. So with that said, let's pretend to be healthy for a few, and let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is preheat our oven to 425. Next, we're going to trim 1 pound of asparagus. There's 2 methods to doing this. The first method is to snap off the ends like so. I don't like this method because it's wasteful and you snap off more than you really want, and all of your asparagus are completely different sizes. My favorite method is to leave it in a bunch and cut off the ends like so. It's a must to trim your asparagus because the bottoms are woody and aren't edible. Choose your method that works best for you. Next, we'll get a half sheet tray ready to go. You can use cooking spray or you can also use parchment paper. They both work really well. Next, we'll get our dredging station ready. It's important to use a long pan like this just because your asparagus is so long. First thing we're going to add is a half a cup of flour, a half a teaspoon of onion powder, a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and lastly a 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder. Lightly whisk your face off to bring all the seasonings together. Don't forget to season with salt and pepper as well. Now that you got your flour station set up, we'll set up our egg station. We're going to use 3 eggs. It's important to crack your eggs on a flat surface so you get a nice clean break in your shell. This will help prevent the risk of getting any eggshells in your egg wash. And do it one-handed because you're trying to show off. Why not? Then lightly whisk your face off again, breaking up the yolks and bringing the egg whites and yolks together to make one nice egg wash. You basically want your egg wash to look like you're about to make scrambled eggs. Scrambled eggs, those sound good. Our last station to set up is our breading station. We're going to add 1 cup of panko breadcrumbs and a half a cup of parmesan cheese. I tore up my parmesan, so I had little bits of cheese throughout my panko. You can also shred your own parmesan, so it's a lot smaller. Now that we have all of our components ready, we'll get our station set up. So on the right, we'll have our flour. In the middle, we'll have our egg wash, then our panko breadcrumbs, and then our half sheet tray ready to go. So it's best to work in batches on this. We'll do a couple asparagus spears at a time. And you want to ensure that everything is covered in flour. Then we'll go over to our egg wash and roll our asparagus spears in the egg wash, ensuring that everything gets coated in egg wash. This will help the panko to stick. Then we'll throw our asparagus in and cover everything with panko. It's important to push it down. This will help the panko to stick. So give it a nice cover and lightly push down. And that's what your asparagus spear should look like. Then just start lining your half sheet tray. It's best to work in batches. This will help ensure that each asparagus spear gets the tender loving care it needs in each step. The egg wash part is the most important part. You want to ensure that you roll your asparagus spear thoroughly through the egg wash and make sure that it's completely wet. This will help make the panko stick. I didn't roll some of them very well, so the panko didn't stick very well, so I had to redo them. And it's best to work with both of your hands like so. This will help keep things a bit cleaner. So use your right hand to dredge with the egg wash and use your left hand to push the panko. Because if you bring over too much of your egg wash into your panko, you'll get giant clumps, which isn't super beneficial to breading for something like this. You can use tongs to do all of this for you, but I like using my hands because I get a better feel for everything. And if you're not making a mess and getting dirty, then what are you doing really? That's what I enjoy about cooking. It uses all 5 of your senses. When you're lining your half sheet tray with your asparagus spears, make sure that you leave a small gap in between each asparagus spear. This will help ensure that each asparagus gets a nice even bake on them. This is what your little spears should look like. Now we'll throw them in the oven. We'll throw them in our preheated oven for 15 minutes. Your asparagus spears may need less time or maybe more time, depending on how hot your oven runs. Now that our asparagus are baking, we're gonna melt some butter and roll out a lemon like we did for our cocktail video. Today we're gonna be making Hollandaise sauce, which will accompany the asparagus really well. I'm going to give you a quick snapshot of how to make a hollandaise. I have a full video of how to make a hollandaise. I'll leave a link in the description so you can go check it out. When you're separating the yolks like this from the whites, ensure that you wash your hands really well after this. You don't want to cross-contaminate anything. Then we'll add a tablespoon of lemon juice to our food processor with the yolks, and pour in our melted butter. Now that you've made your hollandaise, you can go ahead and throw it in a traveling coffee mug like this. This will help keep the hollandaise warm so it doesn't break or completely solidify on you. This will help buy us time so the asparagus can finish baking and become nice and delicious. Then of course throw the lid on her to keep the heat in. And this is what my asparagus fries look like after 15 minutes, nice and golden brown. Before we destroy this newspaper, let's see what it says. The Berlin Wall falls. Titanic was found. The most remarkable upset in Olympic history. Ooh, a crossword puzzle. Number 4 down. Subscribe. I wanted to plate this a pretty fun way, so I bought some waxy newspaper. We're going to fold it corner to corner and give it a nice crease like so. Then we're going to turn it sideways and start to roll the newspaper into a cone. When I practiced this, I did it really fast without any problems, but apparently I got nervous when I did it for the video, so that's why I'm messing around with it a little too much. Then we're going to crease the bottom to keep it open. You can use tape to also keep it open, but this is a better way to do it. Now that you got your newspaper cone ready, we're going to throw in our asparagus fries. Fit in as many as you can get in there. Try not to crowd it out, because if you hit them too much, some of that panko breading will fall off, and that's like the best part of these asparagus fries. So fit in what you can, then get a holding apparatus, and start filling it with your hollandaise sauce. I accidentally got some on the rim and the side. Not like I'm trying to make it look nice for a video or anything. Alright, let's give our asparagus a try now. These are delicious. These are definitely a keeper. They're nice and fresh. They got that distinct asparagus flavor. Then they got a little cheesiness from the parmesan. Then that nice and toasted panko flavor, which is always delicious. You could have a little bit more salt and maybe some more garlic and onion powder. It's a little faint for me, but overall these things are so good. And then there's a nice texture from the vegetables still being a little tender, and that crunchiness from the panko. You really can't go wrong. So let's try it with the hollandaise next. And the hollandaise adds more flavor from the lemon, because lemon and asparagus go really well together. And it's a great combination. Then you get that acidic also from the lemon, but that rich fattiness from the butter and egg. This is really good. This is a great snack. Kind of messy, but still good. Alright, that's it for this video. These asparagus fries are a great substitute for chips or crackers. They're nice and healthy, but you still get that crunch factor. Or you can have this as a side with fish or any protein of your choice. These are definitely my new favorite way to eat asparagus. I'm going to make these all the time now. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and also find me on Instagram at TaylorMakes92. Gotta go find the broom and dustpan. I made a huge mess with this panko, so we'll see you on the next one. Today's recipe calls for baked asparagus. Nope. That's what we're making. Today's recipe calls for asparagus. We're going to be making asparagus fries. My face is too white. Note to self, don't turn on oven when it's 75 degrees out. It's really hot in here now. This video, these asparagus fries are a perfect snack to substitute for chips or crackers, of course without the hollandaise. These are a lot. Having the asparagus in this newspaper like this reminds me like a bouquet of flowers. If I were in like Broadway and I got these after the show, or if I was Miss America and I won the pageant, you know how like they hold it, oh, like this, now you can see it, and then you try to wave at the crowd, but you're an ugly crier, so you try to keep it in. That's so bad, and I made a huge mess. I feel like such a weirdo waving to nobody. I wonder what my neighbors think, like some weirdo.